Hey everyone, what is up? It's me, EDJ here, and I'm starting a brand new series. So I watch all of Oversimplified's videos. You can feel free to check that out. Now I'm moving on to Dovahadi. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize. But point is, I'm watching his Rome series. I saw a part of it, but it's in the later stages. So I decided I'm just gonna start from the beginning and work my way up. Kind of like what I did with Oversimplified, and this is gonna be interesting because I'm completely blind to Dovahadi. Like with Oversimplified, I mentioned that I've seen the majority of his videos before I did my reactions. Granted, there was time I don't watch them all the time, but still, I kind of knew a bit what was going on. But um, yeah, this one is going to be completely different. I think Roman history is super interesting, and I'm looking forward to learning more about it. And yeah, that's all I really got to say. Without any further ado, let's just get right into it. Let's watch just Dova Hadi's Rome 1 Mythology.
Once was a dream.
So, oh snap. Okay, so I forgot to mention this in my intro where I usually break down stuff. Assuming he's talking about, yeah, he's talking, I think he's going to cover the mythology, obviously, of Rome. And I think what little I know about it is that I think a lot of Romans believe they were descended from Troy. They, dang it, I read these books, the Iliad, Odyssey, the Aeneid. I could never pronounce it. As you can tell, I can't pronounce a lot of these things. But yeah, there was a Trojan hero named Aeneas or something. He was a survivor of the sack of Troy, and he eventually founded, or what would be, Rome. I think that's the background of it. And obviously, I think I mentioned in my last Dovahadi reaction that they believed that their first kings or their founders of Rome, the city as we know it specifically, are Romulus and Remus, the two brothers. So I wonder if he's going to cover that. That's kind of all I know about Roman mythology. I just wanted to share what little I knew.
There once was a dream to purge this rotten world from the barbarians we infested, a dream called Rome. Thousands of years ago, the world lived in a dark age. Europe, like the rest, was a complete shithole, with barbarians of all breeds as far as one could see. Among these vile beasts were the Greeks, savage animals who spent their existence killing, raping, and shitting on each other. The gods were disgusted by what they saw. Their solution was to start again. A new race was built, tailor-made to be perfect, resulting in the birth of the Trojans. Let loose in the middle of the Greek chaos, the Trojans set out to bring order to the place, inventing civilization with the founding of Troy, where they strove to answer the deepest questions of mankind. Physics, philosophy, economics, no matter the mystery,
Communism.
the Trojans mastered it. They were the pride of the gods, attracting the collective envy of the Greeks. It culminated with the kidnapping of the Trojan prince.
Yes, okay, good. Yeah, he's covering it. Okay, this is cool to learn because, gosh darn it, this freaking lamp. Okay, point is, yeah, I read the Iliad and the Odyssey back when I was a freshman in high school, so it's been a while, but I remember reading those, and yeah, I didn't know much about Troy's, like, history. Like, I know a lot about the Greek side of mythology, but before the Trojan War, Paris, running off with, Helen? I forgot, like I said, I forgot, but, um, yeah, I didn't know much about Troy, but I guess, yeah, a city founded by the gods. I think all I remember from mythology before the Trojan War was, I think Poseidon and Apollo may have built the walls of Troy or something like that. I could be wrong. Please, I apologize. I'm not a historian. I can barely even remember all this text I read, but I like trying to remember because it's been so long since I learned about this. And yeah, it's pretty cool to learn about the gods' investment in Troy before like half of them wanted to see it all destroyed. I love the Iliad. It is insane. I actually like it more than the Odyssey personally. That might be a hot take because I haven't met anyone who shares that opinion with me yet.
a Greek queen whom lusted after his perfect body. To salvage his position, the Greek king twisted the events, tricking the Greek hordes it was Troy who wronged them. Easily fooled, the barbarians encircled Troy, numbering the hundreds of millions. It became known as the Trojan Wars, a series of catastrophic Greek failures. As always, the Greeks turned to divine intervention.
Yeah, the Greeks took them like 10 years to take down the city, right?
To achieve their foul goals, taking advantage of Jupiter's fear for Troy's potential. Once in Troy, the Greeks smelled the scent of civilization for the first time, and instinctively hated it. They did what they did best, killing, raping, and shitting without mercy. The rape of Troy would bring an end to civilization itself, were it not for the unsung hero, Anchises. Anchises never shared his people's kindness towards barbarians. The moment he first saw a Greek, Anchises knew peace would never last. Predicting the worst, Anchises impregnated the goddess of beauty using his Trojan charm, resulting in the birth of the man, the myth, the legend himself, Aeneas Maximus.
Yes, Aeneas. Okay, I got it right. Well, I don't think I pronounced his name right, but I know the dude.
Aeneas woke up from the pile of the woman he was sleeping with, storming out of his house and savagely slaughtering his way through the Greek hordes with nothing but his bare dick, all while carrying his elderly father with one hand and guiding the survivors with the other. This heroic act much impressed Jupiter. As an apology, he granted Aeneas the divine destiny to settle in their ancestral Italian lands, where their descendants were prophesied to save the world.
Yeah, it's interesting how like Roman mythology is so closely linked to Greek. Kind of almost the same thing, because I believe Romans just kind of adopted other faiths and beliefs, but with the Greeks specifically, they were very close. I remember reading in the Iliad that Aeneas was about to be killed by Achilles, but he was saved from death because there was a prophecy around it. Like, yeah, if you read the Iliad, you know the prophecy. So many characters who should have probably died didn't because of prophecy and all that, but yeah, that he was destined to do something great. So I kind of like that kind of segues to Roman history, that yeah, he's basically the founder of Troy, or not Troy, you know, an ancestor of the Romans, like can kind of trace their lineage back to him. So that's really cool personally. I find that interesting. Though I think the Aeneid is kind of like, I couldn't like enjoy reading it because it's basically just the Odyssey. Okay, hot take, but it's very similar to the Odyssey, and it was written a long time after Homer, obviously. I think it was written by, who was it? Was it Virgil, I believe, who wrote the Aeneid? He wrote it during the time of Augustus Caesar, so yeah, we'll see.
So, the dream of Rome was born. Aeneas braved the seas, easily defeating all gods and monsters that stood in his way, making a planned stop at Carthage for resupply. In it, Aeneas was faced against the greatest threat to man's life, a fawn, the fawn queen of Carthage. In exchange for the needed supplies, she demanded Aeneas to satisfy her in bed every day for a year, which Aeneas honorably agreed, for the greater good. The debt paid, Aeneas set to return to his destiny. Dido couldn't accept his departure, but Aeneas insisted, knowing better than to fall prey to a fawn. In her rage, Dido burned all his leftover belongings, throwing herself into the fire, forcing their descendants to eternal rivalry, dooming millions.
Okay, yeah. I forgot about that, but yeah, she did do that.
Should die in the wars to come. Historians to debate if her cruelty derived most from being a Punic or a woman. Escaping Carthage, Aeneas finally arrived in Italy, becoming the king of Alba Longa, after a quick trip to the road with his father, killing a barbarian warlord, and banging the local Trojan princess. With her, Aeneas was able to father a pure-blooded Trojan family, a chance unfortunately not granted to his man, leading to generations of miscegenation. The years came and went, leaving Numitor, Aeneas' descendant, to suffer from the consequences, being usurped by his bastard half-barbarian brother. Once again, civilization was on line to be destroyed by barbarian scum, this time output by the birth of the legendary twins, Romulus and Remus, lawful sons of Numitor's.
I remember that the famous saying is they were like raised by wolves, or I think like that was the mythology. I wonder if that, from what I've heard, that's always been the constant. They were somehow raised by wolves, but I don't know. With mythology, there's like different versions of stories, so it's always like hard to keep track, right? Especially with the Greeks.
Daughter and the god Mars. The usurper was too much of a coward to kill them himself, much less in the front of the god of war, giving the twins for a servant to go drown in the Tiber River, having the princess assassinated while Mars wasn't looking. But the servant refused to commit the crime, his Trojan ancestry overpowering the corruption from his barbarian side. Tiberinus, god of the Tiber, took over from there, guiding the young lads to the care of a she-wolf. She raised them lovingly, granting them her wolf-like instincts through the power of her canine titties, all until they were old enough to be adopted by shepherds. As true Trojan descendants, sons of Mars, fed by wolves and raised by stoic shepherds, the twins twins grew to be great leaders. Having the admiration of the man and the love of the woman, the twins were envied by the local barbarian Insos. Incapable of competing in either strength, intellect, or beauty, the barbarians sought to employ their only field of advantage, evil. One day, as Remus looked at the stars, pondering the big questions while resting from yet another orgy, the barbarians ganged up on him, capturing Remus by threatening the girls if he tried to escape, delivering him at the hands of the usurper, whom happily imprisoned him. Learning of the act through his wolf instinct, Romulus was outraged. In response, he used his charisma to raise an army with his followers and siege Albalonga. Despite unarmed and untrained, Romulus' forces shattered through the city's defenses, killing the usurper and freeing the hostages. Claimed as heroes, the twins were taught of their Trojan ancestry by their grandfather, whom named them the rightful kings of the city, an honor.
Wow, okay, yeah. I want to apologize for all the stopping, guys. Like I said, this is a reaction kind of channel, so I don't want to be boring and just not say anything. Also, there's so much to digest. Like, I love these videos, like the one Dovahadi video, well, two now, but I really like them, but they move quick. Like, I feel like my brain is still trying to process things, like, okay, wait, okay. What's interesting is that I don't, like, other than Romulus and Remus's being raised by a wolf, and one of the brothers, I think Romulus, killing Remus, that's the only two facts I know about them in all of mythology, or that I learned especially when I was a kid. So learning all of this is pretty brand new. I didn't know they had this whole song and dance with kidnapping, and it's really interesting.
They refused. Instead, they set out to build a new city, gathering the last pure-blooded Trojans with them. But no girls allowed. They used their wolf instincts to trace back to their mummy wolf had raised them. Among those 7 hills, history was about to be changed forever. But before it could, a rift had developed between the brothers. Romulus sought to follow on Troy's steps, believing that barbarians could be peacefully negotiated with. But Remus, having suffered the most under barbaric crimes, he knew peace was impossible, fearing that if they followed the exact same path as Troy, they would suffer its same fate. It was a source of great debate between the brothers, their different perspectives generating many disputes. As civilized men, they attempted to solve it with a bird-watching contest, which resulted in a tie, due to the gods enjoying the drama of their conflict. At any rate, the brothers agreed they at least needed a wall, for if there is one thing the local barbarians hated the most, was the smell of progress. While Romulus built the base of the walls, Remus built the top. As he did so, one of their followers climbed to the top with him, nearing ever closer. Suddenly, he pushed Remus from the wall. Hearing the screams, Romulus was shocked, rushing to his brother's aid, finding him in fatal conditions. In his righteous anger, Romulus demanded an explanation, but once he looked closely, the explanation became clear. It was no Trojan, but a barbarian, seeking to do his part in destroying civilization forever. Romulus let him escape, choosing instead to stand by his brother's last dying moment. With his last breath, Remus spoke one last time, naming the city Rome in honor of his brother, whom he named its first king. Drowned in sorrow, Romulus accepted, mercifully ending his brother's suffering. With this...
Oh wow, that is different. Dang, I always thought it was just Romulus just killed him. just murdered him after a dispute. That... Is that actually how it happened? I gotta Google this. After I'm done, but that is interesting to learn about.
This harsh lesson, Romulus finally understood Remus. There was no hope for peaceful coexistence, and so, not only had Rome to surpass Troy's greatness, but to spread it to the world, cleansing of the barbarian plague whom sickened it. It was an inevitable war between order and chaos. The barbarians would go on to spread how Romulus murdered his brother for power, a lie most people still believe today. But at least you, my dearest pleb, knows the true history. The unbiased history. On the next chapter, Romulus founded the Eternal City, with a monarchy to rule it and a senate to guide it. It will eventually be ruined by Greeks, as all good things are, but the Romans will keep fighting on, as should you. And remember, plebs, to the subscribers, everything will be given. From the Patreons, everything will be taken.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure there's nothing more, but yeah, guys, that was super interesting to learn about. Obviously, I don't know, I can't take everything seriously with these videos. Not to say like I'm like dissing them, just like obviously there's a lot of humor and stuff, but overall I really like learning about this, and hopefully we're gonna continue some more, because there are like 20 videos in this like playlist. So we're gonna have a really fun adventure, and I guess I'll know a lot about, at least more about Rome, I think, after this is all done. And yeah, guys, that's really all I got to say. Feel free to subscribe to Dovahadi. I think, I want to give credit where it's due. Entertaining videos, really fun, and they motivate me to Google and learn more about history, if nothing else. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for enjoying, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.